So what are the consequences of the nutrient insufficiencies? What can actually happen? Calcium is a classic example of this, right? 99% is in your skeleton. The other 1% is tightly regulated in your blood, right? Your body likes to be in homeostasis. So it tightly regulates calcium, tightly regulates blood sugar, etc., to keep all your essential functions going, like muscular contraction, your heart beating, and nerve transmission. So the design is really eloquent, right? And because if you're not getting enough from your food intake, which most people aren't, 50% are below the ear, not even close to recommended amounts, then what does your body do? Well, it can break down your bone to keep your blood levels tightly regulated to keep you alive, to keep your heart beating. But here's the sad part. You can't feel it happening. You don't feel your bones breaking down, right? It takes decades and decades and decades, and you go from a healthy bone to an osteoporotic bone, and then you get severely weak bones, and you end up with a fracture, right? Which obviously drastically affects your quality of life. My ex-mother-in-law just fractured her hip last week. And I know what an uphill battle she's going to have now as she gets older. So again, the scary part here, you guys, you don't feel it happening with micronutrients. It's not like macros. If you don't get enough macros, you lose weight. You can see it happening, right? You can see it happening when you gain weight. With micros, can't feel it. You can't feel it happen, and that's the scary part. We call
it hidden hunger. We call it hidden hunger.
Hidden hunger. That's right. Our body.
Calories, so that's hunger. You can feel that, but hidden hunger is the shortage of micronutrients.
So calcium, in meeting your daily needs, what does it require? So here are the numbers. These numbers don't really mean anything to anybody unless you're really paying attention, which we suggest you do, right? Because now with food labeling, you can actually see calcium content. But as you can see during your, growing years, you need the most. And then, 1,000 for most adults. And then as you get older and you start to break down, you need even more. Women need especially more after menopause. And a good strategy to think of is 3 servings daily of dairy or fortified foods. And here are some just examples of how you can do that. And once again, most people don't do this. So we need to be more intentional with getting that. And then 500 milligrams a time to maximize absorption if you are taking a dietary supplement. We'll go into calcium a little bit more in our next master class.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for an example, this is what the 2015-2020 dietary guidelines found in terms of usual intake from dairy. So look who consumes the most. Orange is what the average intake is. Blue is what the recommended range is. So babies, toddlers, right, when they're young, are getting enough. And look at how their intake happens over time. So to Neal's point, dairy is a significant source of vitamin D and calcium, bone-building nutrients. And now we have stuff like rickets coming back, right, which is a deficiency state.
And one more comment on that for all of you that are parents. Kids that stop drinking milk because you did, for some reason, end up fracturing 8 times more than kids that do drink milk. And it's not because of the milk. It's because of the calcium and the vitamin D and the micronutrients in it. Okay, I'm not worried about a kid getting enough protein. I'm not worried about any of those. I'm worried about a kid getting calcium, vitamin D, and that is one of the best delivery systems for it. There's other ways of getting it, don't get me wrong, but the point is that those are the facts. Kids that stop drinking milk fracture 8 times more than kids that continue drinking it.